Okay, January 19th. Sorry, this one's a little late. This is take two. I've had some technical difficulties. All right, Genesis 39, 1 through 41:16. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him overseer, excuse me, of the house and all that he had put under his authority. So it was from that time that he had made him overseer over his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph. And she said, lie with me. But he refused and said to his master's wife, look, my master does not know what is with me in the house and what he has committed all he has to my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So it was, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her to lie with her or to be with her. But it happened about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside. Then she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside. And so it was, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, see, he has brought this to us, a Hebrew to mock us. He has come in to lie with me. And I cried out with a loud voice. And it happened when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So she kept his garment with her until his master came home. Then she spoke to him with these words like these, saying, the Hebrew servant you bought for us came in to mock me. And so it happened, as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside. So it was, when the master heard the words which his wife spoke to him, saying, your servant did to me after this manner, that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. And it came to pass after these things that the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their Lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was very angry with his two officers, the butler, the chief butler, and the chief baker. So he put them in the custody of the house of the captain of the guard, in the prison, the place where Joseph was confined. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they were in the custody for a while. Then the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, had a dream, both of them, each man's dream in one night, and each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came in to them in the morning and looked at them and saw that they were sad. So he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in the custody of the Lord's house, saying, why do you look so sad today? And they said to him, we have each had a dream, and there's no interpreter of it. So Joseph said to them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me, please. Then the butler told his dream to Joseph, and he said to him, behold, my dream was a vine was before me, and in the vine were three branches. It was as though it were budded. Its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. Then Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said to him, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Now within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former manner, which you were butler. But remember me when it is well with you. Please show kindness to me. Make mention of me to Pharaoh and get me out of this house. For indeed, I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done nothing here that they should put me into the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, I also was in my dream, and there was 3 white baskets on my head. In the uppermost basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket of my head on my head. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh from you. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants and lifted up the head of the chief butler. But the chief baker among, and of the chief baker among his servants. Then he restored the chief butler to this butlership again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by the river. Suddenly there came up out of the river 7 cows, fine looking and fat, and they fed in the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, ugly and gaunt, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine looking and fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke. He slept and dreamt a second time, and suddenly 7 heads of grain came up out on one stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 thin heads blighted by the east wind sprang up after them. And the 7 thin heads devoured the 7 plump and full heads. So Pharaoh awoke, and indeed it was a dream. Now it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men. And Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was none who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief butler spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I remember my faults this day, when Pharaoh was angry with his servants, and put me in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, both me and the chief baker. We each had a dream one night, he and I. Each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of our own dream. Now there was a young Hebrew man with us there, a servant of the captain of the guard, and we told him and interpreted our dreams for us. We told him, and he interpreted the dreams for us. Each to each man his interpreted according to his own dream. And it came to pass just as he interpreted it for us, so it happened. And he restored me to my office, and he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent and called for Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. And he shaved, changed his clothes, and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, but there is none who can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that you can interpret a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. So this portion, I love the story of Joseph because it is a picture of Christ, of how just like Joseph was a beloved son, his brothers hated him. Jesus is the beloved son of God, and his brothers rejected him. Um, they threw Joseph into a pit and were going to kill him, but then they sent him off, basically getting him out of their life and killing him. Jesus, they wanted him dead, and they crucified him. And then both are restored. So it's just it's another one of those beautiful pictures within the scriptures. All right, Matthew 12:46 through 13:23. While he was still talking to the multitude, behold, his mother and brothers stood outside seeking to speak with him. Then one said to him, look, your mother and your brothers are standing outside seeking to speak with you. But he answered and said to the one who told him, who is my mother and who are my brothers? And he stretched out his hand towards his disciples and said, Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and my sister and my mother. On that same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the sea, and great multitudes were gathered together to him. And he got into a boat and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. Then he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went out to sow, and so he sowed some seed, fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Some fell on stony places where they did not have much earth, and they immediately sprang up. And because there was no depth on the earth, but the sun was up, they were scorched. And because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among the thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell on good ground and yielded a crop, some a hundredfold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And his disciples came and said to him, Why do you speak to them in parables? And he answered and said to them, Because it has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For whoever has, to him more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in them the prophecy of Isaiah was fulfilled, which says, Hearing you will hear and shall not understand, and seeing you will see and not perceive. For the hearts of this people have grown dull. Their ears are hard of hearing, their eyes they have closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, lest they should understand with their hearts and turn, so that should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For assuredly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men desired to see what you see, and did not see it, and to hear what you hear, and did not hear it. Therefore hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom of God, and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches it away, what was sown in his heart. This is he who receives the seed by the wayside. But he who received the seed on the stony places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. It has no root in himself, but endures only for a while. For when for when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. Now he who received the seed among the thorns is he who hears the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke out the word, and he becomes unfruitful. But he who receives the seed on good ground is he who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears the fruit and produces, some a hundredfold, some 60, some 30. This one's I love this parable, one of my favorite parables, of course. And they call it the parable of the seed, but I think it really should be parable of the ground, because the ground is a picture of our hearts. Um, and our hearts are, our hearts hard and stony, and the seed falls by the wayside. We don't understand it. The bird snatch it away, gets it out of there. Is our heart stony ground where it's kind of good, kind of bad, and it falls in there, and it doesn't get any depth, grows up, it's quick, but then when the world hits us and bad things happen to us, it's not fair, which will happen, then the it just dies away. Those who fall into, and the weeds choke it up, the cares of this world, we start getting into, well, I need to make, you know, that cares of the world, and our desires overtake being fruitful. And then some falls on good ground, and God grows it up. And when the troubles happen, because it's strong, we still continue to grow because we run to God and not run away from him. So beautiful parable. Love that. My favorite one. Psalm 17, 1 through 15. Hear a just cause, O Lord, attend to my cry. Give ear to my prayer, which is not from deceitful lips. Let my vindication come from your presence. Let your eyes look on the things that are upright. You have you have tested my heart. You have visited me in the night. You have tried me and found nothing. I have purposed that my mouth shall not transgress concerning the works of men, but by your lips I have kept away from the paths of the destroyer. Up, uphold my steps in your paths, that my footsteps may not slip. I have called upon you for you will hear me, O God. Incline your ear to me and hear my speech. Show your marvelous loving kindness by your right hand. O you who save those who trust you from those who rise up against them. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me under the shadow of your wings, from the wicked who oppress me, from the deadly enemies who surround me. They have closed up their fat hearts. With their mouths they speak proudly. Now they have surrounded us in our steps. They have set their eyes crouching down on the earth as a lion is eager to tear his prey, and like a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Lord, confront them, cast down, deliver my life from the wicked with your sword. Your hand from men, O Lord, from men of this world who have their portion in this life, whose belly you fill with your hidden treasure. They are satisfied with children and leave rest of their possession for babes. As for me, I will see your face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake in your likeness. And there's a picture of that beautiful that heart, a heart that's for God, that no matter what people do, that says he tested your heart, he tested his heart. You visited him in the night, and people are trying to kill him, and he trusts God to take care of him, to confront him and care. And no matter what happens, he ends it says, I will be satisfied when I awake in your likeness." Proverbs 3:33 through 35. The curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the home of the just. Surely he scorns the scornful, but gives grace to the humble. The wise will inherit glory, but shame shall be the legacy of fools. All right. I will see you all tomorrow.